My name is Esther Frey, and I'm from Canada, Ontario, Canada. And my title here in Puerto Rico is Regional Director for Emmaus Bible Correspondence Courses. I grew up in a Christian home, a God-fearing home. I'm the oldest in the family, the firstborn. And my father took us to church. He became the correspondent for the church, and through that, we had many guests in our home, including missionaries from different countries of the world, and I got to see that they were real live people, ordinary people, and I was drawn to them. And through that, I also realized that I needed a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And at 10 years of age, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior. And because I was always concerned, will I know if I go to heaven? And that was very important to me, and my dad helped me through that, reading John 5:24. And anyway, Mother and Dad gave me a lovely Bible, and in it he wrote, "Reading this book will keep you from sin, but sin will keep you from the reading of this book." And so my interests were always in missions. I went through public school, and because in our area very few went on to high school, I was shoved through, and I got into high school by the time I was 12 years of age. And then in high school, my joy was secretarial work, and that's where I graduated as a secretary from high school, and at age 16 got my first job in a hardware store as a secretary. Worked there for 4 years, and then at the age 20 I went on to Bible school in Chicago, which was leaving home and never returning actually to live. So I wanted to study my Bible in Hebrew and Greek, but I did a language aptitude test, and they said, never think of learning another language, and you must review your English. But I graduated from that school in 1962 and continued on in the staff as a secretary. The big break came after my first year of Bible school, when I returned home for the summer and found that my mother was very sick and needed help. And so I cared for her, and then I had the privilege of attending a women's missionary conference in Toronto in September of that year, where the Lord called me specifically with 2 verses of the Bible, Psalm 32:8, "I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye." And John 15:16, "You have not chosen me, but I've chosen you that you should go and bring forth fruit." And I thought, how can it be to be called now with my mother very sick? I did not want to let them know, but I couldn't help. When I came home, I told them what was happening to me. And their answer was, "This is the moment we've been waiting for." And my parents told me that they wanted to be missionaries, but didn't feel the call, and they had dedicated their first child to missions. Mother's next visit to the doctor, he was so surprised that she was so much better and could take care of herself. So my parents said, "Esther, write the school and see if you could still come." And that was a return, positive, to go back to school in October and continued on my education. In 1965, the director of Literature Crusades was asking for 35 in 65. 35 young people to go to 5 cities of the world to do door-to-door distribution. And I asked if there was an interest in Puerto Rico. And He said, no, but why don't I consider a Spanish-speaking country to see how I do? So it was Caracas, Venezuela, or Bogota, Colombia. And I was led to go to Caracas, Venezuela. It was to be a 2-year term, and after the first year, I got a letter saying, we are going to Puerto Rico, are you still interested? And I said yes. So my second year with Literature Crusades was in Puerto Rico, and we had a team of 20 young people going door to door in San Juan with Christian literature, selling Bibles and other Christian books, and giving the request for the Bible correspondence courses. In the first month, we received 1,000 requests. They said, Esther, you're the secretary, this is yours. I didn't know how to file 2 last names and many other things, but the Lord helped. After the team was ready to leave Puerto Rico, there was so much, the ministry had really grown, and they were asking, is there someone interested in staying to continue this ministry? And I felt that was what the Lord wanted. So I went to my home church to check with leaders, and they were willing to commend me to come back here, and that's when I became the regional director of the Emmaus Bible Correspondence Courses. The background of this organization is Emmaus Bible School. It started and originated in 1942 in Toronto as an evening school. And then with the war, they decided to do some correspondence courses for soldiers who were away from their countries. And the first course was written on what the Bible teaches. And this was used. And from there, it grew, and then it was moved to Chicago area. And actually, while I was a student at Emmaus Bible College, I worked in the correspondence department and helped even doing some of the typing for courses for children. And when this ministry is in 120 countries, and in some of the courses in 80 languages. And here in Spanish, we have 90 courses on the Bible. In the last 20 years, most of Puerto Rico has been inmates who have been studying the courses. There was a moment when all of the packages were being returned, and we didn't know why. We had to go to the Administration of Correction and found out that someone used my package to send in drugs. So the ministry was stopped. But then they said, bring us the material that you're sending in. We want to see it. And when they saw it, they said, this has to get in. So they worked it out that we sent the packages to the chaplains. And that took a longer time because the chaplains were not in the institutions every day. So students were getting weary of waiting for some of their courses. Thankfully, several years later, we were able to return to our original way of sending the packages directly to the student. And it has been a very encouraging work. We have courses in 13 institutions on the island. I would say as crowning achievements of my profession basically is seeing lives changed, and those lives going on for the Lord and taking the responsibility to also see that others change. That is in one area, and also in the correspondence courses, as they are sent mostly to prisoners now. Seeing prisoners that have come out of jail and becoming evangelists, and several that are going on in their profession and giving testimony, and also just appreciating that what God begins in a person, He will complete. I would never have thought that I would be a pianist. I played the accordion, but I ended up playing the piano. I ended up directing choirs that probably I would never have done at home. We bought property here in Puerto Rico for a camp, 60 acres of land, and I was on the committee there, ended up directing camp, being counselor, training others in these responsibilities, which have been, to me, excellent. And then in the office work, also there have been different people that have helped me. I've had girls coming from the north, living with me for a short time, and some of them have gone out to other mission fields to work because of the beginnings they had here. My personal inspirations, first of all, are my parents. Even after I moved to Puerto Rico permanently, they were here each winter for 3 months and did what they could. Helping, once we got the camp, they were up there painting, and my mother was busy even in children's clubs that we had. She would sew the little jackets that the children were to wear, bands that they would earn, and things like that. So my parents were great help. And then my home church in Canada, they were always praying and giving, and God has provided so many times. Even the missionary Bob Cooper here was such an encouragement and helping me. And many of the people here in Puerto Rico have been constantly saying, Esther, you have been such a help here, and that is an encouragement to me. So I just thank the Lord for everyone that has been an inspiration in my life, including even the director that first got me on the field. I didn't mention before, but I spent my first year in Caracas, Venezuela, and then ended up in Puerto Rico. And at that time, the encouragement from them to push me out into Spanish environment, all of this, I would not have done what I do today without all these people. My family has been very encouraging, and whenever I go home, they even say, Esther, I think you belong to Puerto Rico. And so I would say in general, my family has been very supportive and has always said, stay as long as you feel God is leaving you there. My single word for life, I would choose the word satisfaction. And I have to read a verse from Psalm 17, verse 15. God's promises have been fulfilled in my life. That is another reason I say satisfaction. But this is the verse. As for me, I will seek your face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake in your likeness. I would like to leave my legacy for my nieces and nephews and their children. And then also in Puerto Rico, I would like to leave the legacy for the youth and the adults those who really come behind. My advice for the young people today is seek the Lord with all your heart. God is real, and God is love, and He knows how to help, and He will guide you. So look for Him, search in the scriptures for Him, and don't be ready to just follow the crowd. Be willing to be different, even if it means a lot of persecution. because God says that you will have persecution in this life. So don't be afraid. He will help.